So I'm not the first king of controversy. I am the worst thing since Elvis Presley to do black music so selfishly and use it to get myself wealthy. Hey! Here's a concept that works. 20 million other white rappers emerge, and no matter how many fish in the sea, it'll be so empty without me.
Alright, Eminem.
I've had that in my head this whole time we've been watching Elvis. Okay, I'm done.
Slim Shady has left the building.
That's the cold opening.
Okay. Were you looking forward to a movie about a polarizing musician who maybe had moments of racism, pedophilia, and drugs in his past?
Yeah.
You're not getting it here.
Ah.
We're just gonna gloss right over all that and give you Elvis on meth?
Do the intro to the show in your Elvis voice.
No.
Yes.
No. It's not that good.
Well,
I can sort of do 3 impressions, and that's Hank Hill, Elvis, and Bill Clinton.
and if you put Hank Hill and Bill Clinton together, you get Elvis.
So if you get the nice and calm of Hank, and you got that little bit of, graveliness in your voice, and you add it together, for some reason you get, well, this is Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast. That turned into something else.
It turned into
That turned into Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Painter Pleasure Podcast, okay?
Okay. So, what movie are we talking about?
Fucking Elvis.
Fucking Elvis.
Get a haircut, buttercup!
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
So we're going to talk about the spectacular Baz Luhrmann Elvis.
Baz Luhrmann can go to hell.
Okay, I had a thought about this that makes it a little more palatable. So, Elvis was one of the most glamorous icons of all time. And that's the movie that you get. You get Elvis, the icon. You don't get Elvis, the human being.
I don't care. I hate it.
I think Austin Butler did a fabulous job, but you don't get any of the humanity.
Yeah, you don't get to find out who anybody really is.
Mm-mm.
I didn't get even a little bit an idea of who Elvis was as a human.
2 hours and 40 minutes of the camera work we see in Moulin Rouge, jumping from one thing to next. It really didn't calm down until...
Yeah, fucking what's now?
God. And so, yeah, so it was definitely Baz Luhrmann had his
Shots
fingerprints
interrupting
all over it.
other shots and shit. Fuck you, Baz Luhrmann. Fuck you.
Parts of it were, like, if I go back to think this is like a fever dream impressionist version of Elvis Presley, I can accept it. But it's very hard on your brain to watch.
Baz Luhrmann direction style is good for shit like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas type stuff.
Oh, God.
I don't want him otherwise. I don't. I hate him.
What did you think of Moulin Rouge? I made you watch that.
It was fun. It was stupid.
I liked Romeo and Juliet.
He did that too?
Yeah, he did that one.
Okay, I'll give him credit for that.
So that one, I mean, yeah, I kind of like his style because it's fun and it's big and artistic and very, very visual. But
music
you also,
videos.
Yeah, it's basically one long music video, which I love Elvis music, so okay, that's fine. But at some point, you want to know the story. And it was like halfway through when it finally slowed down a little bit and there were actual conversations and some dialogue.
Yeah, like...
And not chopped up in little pieces.
It's almost an hour in before the... not lead of the film, but the subject of the film, Colonel Tom Cocksucker, whatever his name is?
Colonel Tom Parker.
Tom Parker.
Not his real name.
No.
Not cocksucker, but also his real name was not Colonel Tom Parker. He was Dutch.
He's like the vehicle, kind of, for the movie. Like, the setup is...
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
Can we talk about Tom Hanks for a minute?
He's so bad.
Oh my God, he's so mad. Like, Tom Hanks, why? You fucked up Geppetto. Now you're fucking up Tom Parker.
Like,
which I just watched a video of Tom Parker, and yes, he had an accent, but it wasn't...
It wasn't that.
He sounded like Goldmember, which we actually watched Elvis in pieces because it was just so much. And so as a palate cleanser, we would watch Goldmember with Mike Myers doing I'm from Holland. Isn't that weird? So yeah, we had to watch Goldmember.
That sounded closer than Tom Hanks.
Yeah, and
which I don't know if it's Tom Hanks's fault. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the director. Maybe they didn't give him any time, and they're like, but he had this weird thing he did when he talked. You need to do that. And you're like, I'll give it a shot. Fuck it.
Yeah, because
it's like a bunch of actors maybe think that they know how to do an accent, and they don't.
oh yeah, there are good accents and bad accents, and so the highlight I think is Austin Butler's performance, and he was like on Hannah Montana or something. He was just a kind of a child actor, and he actually did. I didn't realize this. I thought it was all Elvis's vocals, but at sort of the first half of the movie, it's Austin Butler singing, and he sounds just like him. Like talk about an Elvis impersonator.
He does a pretty good job.
He was good, and when he did the stuff with like the hip thrusting and dancing, I'm like, now I get why the girls went crazy over Elvis.
That part, I am bothered. Okay, so
I like that.
I'll explain a little bit, and then I'm gonna get to what I'm.
But he did a fabulous job. They used Elvis's vocals later on,
so,
but he did a lot of his own singing.
The whole movie is supposed to be like, this is how Elvis's life really went. This is what it was. I was not the villain. We'll see, maybe later. And then
so we have an unreliable narrator.
For like an hour, they don't even talk to each other. So that's all bullshit. It's just Tom, Colonel, whatever, his point of view. I thought that was a terrible idea as a direction for the film. I think that's absolutely awful.
I think it could have worked, and I'll go ahead and do my recommendation. If you want to see a movie about a musical icon where the framing is the villain telling the story and it's done well, it's Amadeus.
Yes.
Which also took a lot of liberties with what really happened in Mozart and Salieri's life, like this movie, but F. Murray Abraham, man. No wonder this movie won an Oscar. So that's done really well.
But they were, as long as that movie is, they were still interconnected very well. And it was following Salieri. Mm-hmm. This movie is not following Tom Colonel Dicksucker. It's just not. He's in it, but he every once in a while he'll say a few things about like, well, this is when I decided that we were going to clean up his image and make everyone happy. No more black guy trying to act like a white guy. They sanitized the shit out of a bunch of stuff, including like the way people speak, and the way they were.
People were super racist back then, but this isn't a Tarantino movie.
I thought of this while we were watching this. You know what movie they went all the way. They went as hard as they needed to because they were trying to represent the 50s. ABC Family's It.
Talk about that.
One, I feel like you really feel like you're there in the 50s. Two, there's a villain. He's an awful person. He's a child, but my God, is he terrible.
Henry Bowers.
And they don't shy away from it like the new It did, and this movie does. He talks to Mike, the black kid in the group of the Losers Club, like the way a racist kid from the 50s would speak to him. I won't say it. I don't need to. I'm not in a film that's supposed to represent the time. This movie, like, they gloss over it. One time, they have a guy walk up to a TV set, like, I won't have y'all watching a white guy dancing like a... And then they click and turn to the next scene.
Yeah.
No balls.
And
There's no balls to this film.
It's not like we really want to hear that word, but if you're going to represent the racism that was such a big part of Elvis's musical journey, fucking show it.
In fact, the opening scene is almost like supportive of the racial divide stuff.
He's white.
What do you think, Texarkana? Shall we play for the 27th time? Shall we play for the 27th time? Everybody's talking about this. Everybody's talking about this.
Because, so, this probably isn't even the way this happened, because the way it's shot, I don't trust any of it, but some things were true, but I don't trust a lot of it. Tom hears this voice on the radio, and it's somebody that is working with him on this carnival, whatever, is like, you gotta hear him. Yeah, and they turn up, and it's Elvis. And Tom's like, it doesn't matter, they'll never have a black kid on on the
It was
carnival
Louisiana
ride, whatever.
something, the hayride.
The hayride. And the guy that was playing the radio is just like, oh, you don't understand, Tom. He's white. And
Zoom in.
he's like...
We got one.
Like, it's like, victory! We got a white kid that sounds black! Fuck yeah! Like, that's the way the entire scene is set up.
Yeah.
And that's really weird when it's not called out ever.
No, and I wanted to see more. Like, they have scenes, again, I don't know if what really happened or not, but Elvis hanging out with B.B. King, and he went to some of the black music clubs, and if he had such an appreciation for black music, it would be nice to know, like, really, what black artists did he hang out with? Who did he support? Was there any that
Did he support?
Did he mentor any up-and-coming black artists? I don't know.
There's at least one black artist that said he was racist because he wouldn't use him in some of his sets or something. His band, the entire film, is all white dudes.
All white people.
The entire movie, like...
Which, now, that could have been Tom Parker's decision. That may not
True,
have been Elvis's decision.
But these are things that I think if anyone knows about it would be more interesting to represent who he was and the time period he was living in than what we got.
Yeah, and I feel like for almost 3 hours, I saw a big, bombastic, loud, visually stunning version of Elvis's life, but I really learned nothing new about Elvis Presley, the human being, and I really wanted more. I mean, I get, there's a part of me that appreciates the Baz Luhrmann style, and it's very, again, it's like visually stunning. It's like a music video. You're celebrating the music of Elvis, but I really want to know more about who he was. And they did gloss over other things too, like his relationship with Priscilla. She was 14 when they first started.
They make it look like you don't know how old she is, but the actress definitely doesn't look 14. And they don't call that out. They don't talk about how, yeah, he sort of was not in a relationship, but he was definitely close to her all throughout her teenage years, and then she immediately moved to his Graceland or whatever when she was 18. They don't go into how after she left, he had the next girl he was partial to, I guess, was also quite young, and on tours he had a bunch of young girls around, like young girls around, like not saying he was definitely like a child anything, but
he liked him young.
It's weird, and it should have been addressed to some degree.
And I don't want to see anything vilifying Elvis Presley, but I want to see his flaws. I want to see him as a human being, and there's a lot of mystery around him, even though there was so much about him. It's all the glitz and glamour and the Vegas shows and everything.
Even the drug addiction was sort of like...
That was glossed over too. And there was... Okay, this was another thing I kind of went back and forth with. Like, I was glad they didn't do like a parody of Fat Elvis. Everybody makes the jokes about Fat Elvis eating fried peanut butter sandwiches and swallowing drugs and everything. But that's the state he was in when he died. And I'd like to know, what was his headspace like? Like, what was he going through when he died? Because the last we see of him before then is kind of thin. Like I told AJ, with the sideburns and the sunglasses, he looked like a hot Jim Jones. So minus the genocide. So we didn't see, and then we see a newspaper headline, Elvis dies at 42. So I'm like, what were those? I want to see more of like Elvis doing karate and eating peanut butter sandwiches and just being like a very flawed human being. And I wanted to know, I mean, it may be a good way. This makes me more curious about Elvis the person, and like I want to get to know who he was as a person.
Yeah,
because this movie didn't give it to me.
Even the negative stuff, they just burn through it so quick. They keep going so fast. Even when they slow down, they're going fast.
They really didn't, like, they showed some shady things Tom Parker did, but they didn't really show much of the manipulation. Now, there was one good scene, which didn't happen in real life, but I thought artistically this was a really good choice. It was about halfway through the movie, is that he and Elvis are at a carnival, which Tom Parker got to start doing carny stuff, and they get up on a Ferris wheel, and he's kind of, this is his sort of sell your soul to the devil moment, where it's like, I can take you to the top and make you a star, and Elvis is like, oh, I guess that sounds okay.
I want to buy a house for my mom and my dad and all my brothers and sisters, and I want to call it Graceland for some reason. I don't know why.
And I don't like gospel music, but if anyone was built to sing gospel music,
Oh
it was
my God.
Elvis.
Okay.
Yes, his voice, and that made me appreciate. He had an incredible voice. Austin Butler was good, but my God, Elvis was amazing.
They could have done more than just show like a 2-minute scene when he was a kid of him accidentally almost experiencing gospel music and
Blues
in a dirty tavern, which was a little weird.
Well, he supposedly, and I think this was for a time, he and his mother lived in a primarily black neighborhood, so he was exposed to a lot of black music when he was young.
Should have showed him interacting with all these black people. We
Yeah.
almost don't even see him talk to anybody black until
Other than B.B.
halfway
King.
through, and
Yeah.
it's BB King. And even when he was at that party, he was thinking about, like, I want to do a recording of that guy's song. It's like, okay, so you're going to take another song from another black artist who's doing it perfectly well right now. It doesn't look good. It's not a good look.
Not a good look, Elvis, but we did think, like, I wish Elvis were still alive for a number of reasons, but I wonder if he would still be as supportive of black music, hip-hop, rap, everything that it is today, rhythm and blues, R&B. Would he be as supportive? Would he be doing tracks for Jay-Z? Would he, what would he be doing? Would he still be supportive of black music?
Yeah. The last scene, which wasn't even a scene, it's just one of his last shows ever, the week he died, was like almost the best part.
Oh,
and
that
that's
almost
the
made
part,
me cry. That was really good.
That's the part that made me like go like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
If he's dying, he's overweight, he's mentally unstable probably. He's on all the drugs and alcohol he can get just to get through his fucking day. And he sounds this good.
Yeah. So what they did was, like, it was kind of off-putting that Austin Butler gets one scene as Fat Elvis. So it's like in Raging Bull where Robert De Niro's fat for that one scene at the end as Jake LaMotta. So they show at first it's Austin Butler and he's playing a piano, which I didn't know Elvis could play the piano, but he could play the piano. And he was singing Unchained Melody, which is a beautiful song, and belting it. And then they cut to Elvis singing. I'm getting kind of choked up thinking about it because he was so good. And he was so his voice was so powerful, and you kept saying he was dying when he did this.
If that's how he sounded then, holy shit, would I have wanted to hear him live in his prime?
The 1968 comeback, man, or like those first Vegas shows when he was hot in those jumpsuits. He was kissing all the ladies in the audience. I'd be elbowing my way up there. I'm like, what's up, Elvis?
You missed one.
You missed one!
Just knocking bitches aside.
Get out of my way, I'm gonna kiss Elvis. So, yeah, but that was really moving at the end where they show Austin Butler and then they switch to Elvis, poor old Fat Elvis in his jumpsuit singing the shit out of this song. And then you show clips of him, like, getting married with his daughter, stage shows, things like that. And so it was kind of like, it made me think of the end of Bohemian Rhapsody where they play the video of the actual video of Queen doing Don't Stop Me Now.
It was very in the same of Bohemian Rhapsody instead of Rocket Man.
Yeah, and that's another, I think that's the best, other than like Amadeus, but Rocket Man's actually accurate. I've read Elton John's autobiography, and he's still alive to say what's true and what isn't, and that's one of the most accurate stories, and also it's so creative because it's like music videos the whole time.
And it delves into his drug addiction and him going to rehab and all these lying to his parents and then telling his parents he's...
And there were things that were, of course, just done for artistic expression, which didn't really happen, but it still was a good representation.
Yeah, he wasn't singing the bitch's back as a child.
As a 5-year-old, yeah. But it was still a good representation of, like, his family dynamics, his relationships.
Rocket Man proves you can do all these things, still make it entertaining and bombastic and all that, but it's just
and
like
you learn about the artist as a human.
It's like the people making these films sometimes they're afraid to even sort of delve into these things, which I think is kind of sad because it's more stigmatizing.
Yeah, because and I think other than I remember watching a TV movie called Elvis and Me in the 90s, but this is really the only Elvis, we have plenty of Elvis movies, but this is the only movie about Elvis, and I was kind of thinking we don't really have that with the Beatles either.
And we'll probably never get another
We don't have
one.
like the epic biopic of the Beatles, or John Lennon, or any of them as individuals, and this was our first one of Elvis. And I kind of go back and forth because I'm like, well, if you're gonna do Elvis, then maybe it should be the glitz and the glamour and the singing and the dancing. Or you go the other direction and you get
I
Elvis
think
as the human being.
You could have done really well with doing both, and it would have been really striking. If when he was being Elvis for the people, and it was all that quick, fast motion and the pizzazz and all that shit, and then when he steps away and it's his real life, like bringing it down, I think that could have been really effective. But instead, it's the same almost the entire movie. This cutting away from stuff way too fast. Like they have really good shots. It's like Moulin Rouge, and you can't even appreciate the shots because they go over the place.
So I've raved about Austin Butler because that's one of the things I really liked was his performance. What did you think of him? He was a little too skinny to be Elvis, but other than that, everything was perfect.
Also, Elvis was basically anorexic for a lot of the time.
Really?
He would seduce himself for weeks.
Seduce himself.
Not seduce. Fucking.
Reduce?
No.
Starve.
No. Like, put under.
Sedate.
Sedate. Well, I don't know. He would sedate himself.
What?
Yeah. He would sedate himself on purpose because he was so afraid of becoming overweight.
Why didn't I try this when I was anorexic? I just could have put myself into a drug-induced coma.
And
Damn it, I had to do it the old-fashioned way.
I'm just picturing him looking in a full-length mirror. Hey, how you doing? It's just trying to seduce himself.
I hope he enjoyed those peanut butter sandwiches at the end. Because as also, let me say, as a former anorexic, eating feels fucking amazing. So I hope Elvis enjoyed those peanut butter sandwiches.
So,
I'm with you, brother.
There's another mental health issue he had.
I had no idea.
He would medically put himself under so he wouldn't be awake to be hungry.
That is heartbreaking.
Or he would sleep all day, wake up long enough to have one small meal, go to the restroom, and then go back to sleep.
Oh god, that's so sad.
Yeah. So
see, that would have given I wanted to see Elvis the human.
Yeah,
and I got
and
Elvis the star.
Every time he's talking and he's not doing his shows, he's like waxing poetic, or he's looking like he's about to be triumphant, or he's worried about something that I don't really feel it. Like
there were. You go ahead.
Dr. King being assassinated, or Bobby Kennedy. And they acted like these were really impactful, but I didn't really get it.
Didn't really feel it. Cause
I didn't know who he was.
No, and sometimes, I will say, Austin kind of played him as an emo fuckboy. So, just you'd kind of stand there and pout with
Before that was a thing,
Elvis was an emo fuckboy.
With the eyeliner and the fucking hair.
And just kind of standing there moping.
He always has to look at everything, a little side eye.
Yeah, and I don't know if supposedly he watched a lot of footage of Elvis, watched every interview, so maybe
I'm sure he did a very good representation.
He did. Like, the whole time, his voice, the whole time I thought I was listening to Elvis Presley.
Yeah, that he did really well.
Everything. I thought he sounded like Elvis.
And it sounds like he had a ton of time to put into it. He put like 2 years into that.
Well, we learned that the pandemic interrupted the filming. Tom Hanks, no. He was
I'm
not.
sorry.
He was awful.
It's not like he's terrible. He looks like the Penguin. And he's the Penguin.
He basically, he looks like him, and he kind of is the Penguin.
Yeah, he kind of is. Like, he's got a cane that's ornate, and he's
a criminal mastermind,
controlling people with the power of his word, and you get a little bit of he's fucking people over behind the scenes and stuff, and they do show that, but since it's from his point of view, it's just strange.
I think they could have gone further with that, though, because like at Amadeus, Salieri's always kind of defending what he was doing. It's like, well, I did it because of this. And so Tom Parker kind of hints at it, but I'm like, just fucking go there.
He doesn't.
They don't fully go there.
He doesn't defend himself enough. He's like, I took 50%, and I told him that we needed to worry about security, because we did. No, you didn't, you son of a bitch. So I know we're watching, and we're supposed to pick up on these things, and we're not stupid. Like, we understand. But it didn't add to the actual worth of the film.
No, so, okay. I've recommended Amadeus as musical icon, framing story by the villain, and then Goldmember as a good palate cleanser if you need to hear somebody doing a bad Dutch accent on purpose. But would you recommend this movie?
I feel like it's probably better if you already know a lot of stuff about Elvis and you just want to enjoy Elvis. Mm-hmm. Then it's probably good. Like, now that it's over with, if I saw it again, I would probably enjoy it more, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
When I started to watch it, I knew I was probably going to be disappointed because I wanted to know more about Elvis, and I'm too lazy to just research. So, yeah, I wanted to be entertained and learn about somebody, but I didn't get that, so I'm pretty disappointed. But it is entertaining. If I stop being an asshole, I'm just like, it's entertaining. Okay,
that's the point of our show. There were supposed to be assholes who talk about
There
movies.
were some things that were a little, even for the bombastic nature, a little over the top. Like, the first time we see Elvis perform, and every woman in the crowd's like, what the fuck was that?
Tearing their panties
And
off.
then they look
throwing
at
them
him
on
again, they just, it's a little too aggressive with that. Like, especially, this is the first time anybody's seen him. I get it. If it's like, this is your pop idol that you've listened to all their CDs, and you're finally seeing them in person, you think they're hot, and they're doing their thing. Okay, this is the first time you've seen him.
I don't know.
Ever.
I kind of had some funny feelings when I was watching that.
I have a hard time believing that women were just like, sounds of, I don't even know what to call them, excitement were just bursting out of them, and they didn't even know why. Like, and then those scenes, to me, they were just funny, because going back between them and him, and he looks possessed too, because they keep moving the angles, and he's while singing.
That's exactly how Elvis
like,
Oh, speaking of Elvis dancing, we thought about a connection. So Tom Hanks is Colonel Tom Parker in this movie. He was Forrest Gump in Forrest Gump. And when Forrest Gump was a little boy and he had his magic shoes, a young man who played guitar came and saw him dance. Like, oh, do that funny walk, boy. I can't do Elvis.
So
voice.
Really, he didn't even.
So we have the Tom Hanks connection. I can't do an Elvis voice.
So really, he didn't even learn it from black people dancing. He learned it from Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, who turned into Tom Hanks, who turned into Colonel Parker.
Like, Forrest just stopped running and he just got fat and lost his hair.
Jan A gave him Elvis drugs.
Oh God.
But okay, would I recommend it? You kind of yes with the caveat of, if you're an Elvis fan, you're going to like all the music, but you're going to be disappointed that you don't get more of Elvis's real life story.
Oh, so it's a long ass movie.
It's a long ass movie. I kind of wanted to see it in the theater because I thought, oh, this would be one that's really fun to watch in the theater. I'm so glad we didn't.
It's long.
It's so long.
Like, there's a lot of things happen, but you don't feel like a lot of things. Like,
we had to stop and process a lot.
You're not invested. Like, I'm sure there's a lot that happened in his life, but I feel like you could tone some things down and turn some things up, and it would have been way better.
Yeah, so I guess my last recommendation would be show Elvis some love. Go watch one of his crappy movies. We just started one called Double Trouble, which is
he's fun.
He's fun in this. He's a singer in swinging London in 1967, so it's like a real Austin Powers movie. And these two ladies who are way below his league, he is so much prettier than them. Elvis is the hottest human being to ever walk the planet, and they're in love with him, and he's just the whole time, he's sarcastic and exasperated and annoyed, and I've never seen that side of Elvis before, and I love it.
He's just kind of a dude who's
just
trying
like,
to be nice, but he's just tired.
Yeah, he's just like, he's being nice, but he's also on the verge of a bad mood. Like, and I really love that.
And I feel like he's never gonna snap, but so he's always gonna ride that, like, right before the snap, just be like, alright, fine. Let's do it your way, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, so watch an Elvis movie. Poor Elvis wanted to be an actor, and he kind of was with a price. Elvis paid a lot of prices.
Which was also glossed over a lot.
Yeah, they skipped over that part a lot. They paid a lot of attention to the 1968 comeback, which was interesting even though they made up stuff like, oh, Bobby Kennedy was killed while he was filming it, which is not true. But I think the significance of that moment was, I'm glad they spent a lot of time on the 1968 comeback show.
Yeah, it would have been nice if it was a little less confusing.
Yeah.
Because I'm dumb and
Does it need a little less conversation, a little more action, maybe?
Yes. No. Wait, no! We need way more conversation.
All this
way less
conversation.
action.
I'm doing an Elvis song.
I know, but it's wrong. I'm dumb, so I didn't know when they were filming this Christmas special. I thought, like, yeah, it's, like, close to Christmas. Okay, they're filming the thing. I thought maybe parts of it were live. I don't know. And at least that's the way it feels when it's, like, super speed. And then Bobby Kennedy gets shot in the middle, and it's on TV, and they're sort of reacting to it, and then Elvis goes off and ponders and comes back with a new song. But I was like, okay, so you're telling me, movie that I don't trust, that Bobby Kennedy just happened to die, like, right before Christmas while this thing was being filmed? Okay, I'll look it up. Bobby Kennedy died in June. This stupid ass movie, and then, like, 5 minutes later, they bring up the fact that it's still June. And he's like, I don't know how they explained it, but
Unreliable narrator.
So I am too stupid for you to not tell me that this is filmed in June, and just stop being so quick and explain.
Yes, we want our Elvis spoon-fed to us, like peanut butter sandwiches. And as martial artists, we really wanted to see Elvis doing some karate, and we didn't get that at all.
When was this karate phase? Yeah. Like was that his midlife crisis was karate? That would make sense.
My sort of pre-midlife crisis was Taekwondo, so Elvis and I may have some things in common, and we both like prescription drugs. So.
Very a lot of missed opportunities.
A lot of missed opportunities. So is it worth it? Yeah, in the comfort of your home when you have time to stop and do other things and take a break.
Yeah.
So yay for Austin Butler, boo for Tom Hanks, okay for Baz Luhrmann, yay Elvis. Go listen to Elvis music, watch his movies, learn more about his life.
Or, maybe he wasn't that great of a guy. Yeah,
but you can learn more about him. The Beatles were human beings too, and they did some shitty, awful things, and I still like them.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you want to join my cult and be my victim, baby, you can. I'm going to stop doing Elvis voices because I can't. You can watch us on Twitch, Discord, YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes. And you can look at pictures of us on Movie Pain or Pleasure podcast.